That's also kind of why I really like the format of the new podcast. It's like, I like that it's just basically raw dogging podcasting. It's
Yeah.
like,
I like that the only people listening to this are because they clicked on the picture of a trash can or whatever the thumbnail happens
yeah.
to be on this episode.
Disturbing the peace with some peace of mind. Sleeping in jeans, I'ma need a night. OD on the cheap advice. OC on the cheapest flight. Lately I've been on the move trying to get to something. But I told her I've been running just to see the sights.
I do need to know how the eye is, because let me guess how it went.
Okay. Sure.
I'm guessing you went in after you waited months to get in, and the guy went, "Oh yeah, it is pretty swollen, isn't it? You said it's been bothering you that long? Huh. Well, try this, and if that doesn't work, we can schedule something else." And I bet you took a total of 8 minutes.
First off, how dare you assume it's a guy? You know, women can be doctors too, Shay.
Women can be nurses.
Oh, right. Yeah, you're not far off. I waited for an hour in the waiting room, and then they said, "Whoa, the last doctor told you to put that goop in your eyes? Don't put that goop in your eyes. Put these other 2 goops in your eyes, and then check back in with us in 6 weeks."
Oh my God.
So
I was one goop off.
Yeah, exactly. You're just 1 goop off. Yeah.
Story of my life.
Yeah, long story short, not going blind, just got to put some more goop in my eyes, and never trust your hotel pillows. I'll just leave it at that.
Oh.
Always bring a pillow to your hotels.
That's not what I wanted to hear.
Yeah. Yeah, we traced it back to where it first began. Well, I was traveling with you when it first began. Anyway.
Oh, wow.
Remember?
Okay.
Yeah, Santa Cruz. When I woke up looking like sloth.
Oh, yeah. Duh, of course, yeah.
Yeah.
Dude.
So
that's
fun.
I got lucky. You just made me feel really lucky.
Yeah. Yeah, and I'm dramatizing for the pod. I mean, I was scared that I was going to go blind, but basically they were like, "This is super common. You'll be fine. Stick this goop in your eye." So.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, at least I know if I ever get a sloth eye, it only takes 8 months of waiting and insurance stuff to figure out.
Yeah, exactly. A cocktail of goops, a bunch of waiting, looking like a hideous monster for months.
There's no way this is like interesting at all, but I like had a similar
it's
thing.
About me. Oh no, it's about you. Oh, okay.
No, it's about me. Okay. No, I was at the gym. I was working out and I was doing pull-ups, and I don't remember if you saw this, but I came off a pull-up and they had one of those like hook things that holds like weights or like bars. It was like underneath the pull-up bar, and when I came down, I hit my elbow on it really hard. And dude, what a gross set of topics. But I hit my elbow so hard, this is the grossest word in the entire world, but it popped my bursa sac.
Oh.
Have you ever heard of that?
No, I haven't.
Okay, it's like the part of your elbow that holds your elbow grease.
Whoa.
So it's like, yeah, so
like,
it basically like lubes your elbow, but if you pop it, your elbow fills up with this fluid.
Oh.
And so my elbow filled up with like a baseball sized amount of fluid. And and it was funny, yeah, and so you have to like either just wait or you have to get it drained. And if you wait, it takes like 6 to 7 weeks. And if you get it drained, it's like $2,000. And so I was like, oh, I'll just wait. And so it's been like slowly going down over the last couple of weeks. And then it finally was almost all the way gone. And I hit it skateboarding the other day and it filled all the way back up.
Oh my gosh, no way.
Yeah.
Jeez.
So
yeah, it's like you burst a oil line in your body, basically.
yeah, that's pretty
crazy.
much what it is. Yeah.
Oh God.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was kind of similar for me. They were like, yeah, we can like drain the lump in your eye if you want, but it'll probably go away if you just put the goop in for six weeks. And I was like, yeah, if I have you drain it, it's going to cost me thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
And that's not worth it.
Yep. Yeah.
So
it's just like, it's a lesson in humility though, because I'm walking around looking like a circus freak. I got an elbow the size of a door handle. And it's just like, that's life, baby. Medical corner.
yeah, well,
Yours is interesting because there's like a big cool conflict and consequence. It's like, oh, if I don't put this goop in, I'll go blind. For me, it's like I just look like someone put a bike pump on my arm, like SpongeBob in that episode where he pretends to be strong. But instead of my muscles inflating, it's all the parts of your arm that don't have muscles. So people know it's not it's not cool.
man, well, if anything, let me just hit you with the moral of the story, which is,
Okay.
you don't know what you got till it's gone, brother.
Yep. Or you don't know what you don't got until you got it. Like a lump.
Yeah, like a lump.
Like a lump somewhere you don't want one.
Oh, but I am going to celebrate tonight. Now that I know I'm not going blind, I'm celebrating my vision by going to the
Getting
premiere.
blacked out.
Yeah. No, going to the premiere of that Turnstile visual album.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
That's going to be
it's
awesome.
Premiering in Times Square tonight, so I'm going to go
What?
see it. Yeah.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
Dude,
I'm
those
stoked.
guys are having a crazy day right now.
Seriously. Yeah. I know. And they like, I don't know. It's been cool since they just came onto my radar, but it just seems like they're currently blowing up, which is, I mean, why they came onto my radar, but they're like everywhere all of a sudden.
That's like, I'm really showing my cards here because that was one of the few times someone's recommended something to me that I've gone out of my way to go watch. I'm so bad about being like, oh, I'll have to check that out. And then I don't check it out. But I did. I checked it out and I'm like, I'm sold. It's so cool.
Dang,
all the music videos are so cool. And it's very good.
I'm pumped to see it for
Dang,
sure.
I'm jealous.
I will report back on how it is.
Yeah. Yeah, that would be great because what am I doing to celebrate you not going blind? Tonight, since you're not going blind, I'm going to get drunk for the first time in 5 years.
Oh, no. This isn't what I wanted. I take it back. I'm going blind. I just wanted to be
the
positive.
only way.
I wanted to be positive on the podcast.
Nope,
but I
that's the
lied.
deal. That's the deal.
Oh, man. Well,
Just kidding. Just kidding.
never mind. That's an off-pod story.
Okay.
But boy, do I have some hard-hitting topics for us to hit on today.
All right. Should I open the notes?
No, I mean,
Okay.
not unless you want to.
Last time I opened the notes.
interpretations.
No, how about you inform me, dude?
Okay, well, I'll start with just a fun little story before I got a question for you, but I got a fun
love
little
fun stories.
story.
Okay.
A few weeks ago, a guy named Matty Hapoya, you might be familiar with, he hit me up to help him film because he's working on like a rollerblade documentary.
This feels like a trap.
And anyway, it didn't work out because the weather was super bad. It was super rainy, and he ended up being
And
here
everyone in the world
ago.
quit rollerblading.
Oh my god. He ended up being here a few days ago, and I just met up with him like last minute on the last day of filming to say hey to him and a couple other guys. Colt Kerwin was there. Do you know Colt Kerwin? So anyone who doesn't know, Matty Hapoya and Colt Kerwin are both like heavy in the like camera YouTube world. And so anyway, I'm standing there with Matty Hapoya, Colt Kerwin, and a third YouTube camera guy who I just met named Blaine. And we're all like standing there. There's a bunch of gimbals and like camera gear out. And this random dude comes up because he sees all of the cameras. And he's like, yo, do you guys know stuff about cameras? And everyone kind of like looks at each other and is like, yeah. And he's like, oh, great. I got a question for you guys. And just starts asking about like, he's like, I'm in between buying, like I got this much money to spend and I'm thinking about getting the, I don't know, the Canon PowerShot or the Sony something or other. And he's kind of talking to all of them because like I don't have a camera on me and I'm kind of behind him. And I'm just laughing so hard because this guy has no clue how perfect of crew he's asking this question. He
found the absolute best people in the world to ask that question to.
Yeah, like anyone who watches their videos, he got this like dream opportunity to ask 3 major camera YouTubers about their
and he just goes, Canon PowerShot or Sony ZV-1.
Yeah. So that's basically the end of the story. It was just hilarious that guy had no idea how lucky of a squad he landed on.
That is amazing.
To ask his camera question.
I love that story.
Yeah, but I wanted to ask you. I know we don't want to get too crazy into camera talk, but you just got what you've referred to as the Porsche 911 of cameras.
It's true.
To you.
I did.
What'd you get done?
All right, everybody, buckle up. Because I could talk. I mean, I had better be able to talk about this for a while because I spent my life savings on it. But basically, okay, here's my line of thinking, right? My line of thinking is camera world proceeds onward. The drum never stops beating. And so there's always a new stupid camera to buy. It's the FX3. It's the FX3 Mark II. It's the Canon.
Don't forget the FX2.
Oh, that's true. The FX2, the FX2, which is kind of like people don't really seem to like that one. But then it's just and then you got the Canon Big Boy Mark V, and they all got.
I love the Big Boy.
All the new features and everything. You would anyway. Anyway, I was like, I don't want to be in this cycle. I don't want to every.
Did you know Canon has a camera called the Auto Boy?
They don't.
Yeah, they do. It's an old
way.
film camera. It's called the Auto Boy.
Okay. I don't want any cameras anymore except for the Canon Auto Boy.
He said Canon Big Boy. I was like, I know he's joking, but that sounds so familiar. And then I just remembered the Auto Boy.
I want a Canon Auto Boy. Dang it. That just diminished my whole point, which was I'm trying to escape the never-ending cycle of wanting cameras. Okay, other than the Canon Auto Boy, there's no. I was like, I'm just gonna buy something that's proven timeless, you know. Mm-hmm. So that was one rationale of many. I have many reasons for it, but I did a bunch of shopping. I ended up landing on an Arriflex SR, which is a 16 millimeter film camera. It has a registration pin, which means as the film gets pulled down, most 16 mil cameras have one pin that goes in, pulls the film down, and then it stops and holds the film in place. And then it gets exposed, and then the pin goes back up and pulls another frame down really fast.
Whoa.
But this one has a pin that goes in, pulls the film down, and then another pin that comes in on the top and like locks the film in place. And then it gets exposed, and then that pin pops out, and the other one goes back up and grabs it. So it makes the image like super stable, and just like it's like it's essentially the same as like a global shutter kind of, where it's like the image is just like really, really reliable and stable. And there aren't many 16 millimeter cameras that are at all affordable that have registration pins, you're either going to get the Arri SR, SR2, SR3, or Aton XTR. Those are kind of your three options. Anyway, I got an SR1, and I could talk about this forever, dude. But the problem with the SR1s is when they were originally manufactured, they didn't come in Super 16. They just came in 16 mil. So that just means they only came. Jake just dropped his mom's
my fingerboard.
Watch. Fingerboard. And so that they basically, the SR1s out of the factory only came able to shoot 4x3. But I found one that someone had replaced the film gate with a Super 16 film gate, meaning it can shoot 16x9. Great, right? Everyone says, that's awesome. Everyone says amen. Well, the problem now is the SR1 also came in bayonet mount. And bayonet mount is not that common, and there's not a lot of lenses that are Super 16 lenses in bayonet mount. So, and the SR1s were made before like electricity was invented. That's not true, but wow. But in the 80s. But you couldn't put like a screen on it to see through the lens to see what you were filming. You just had to look through the little eyepiece, right? Mm-hmm. So there's this company in like, I think it's in Idaho or something, or not Idaho. It's in Ohio. It's in Ohio, called Visual Products. And it's this one guy, and this guy will take the camera apart. He'll put a tiny little camera in where the light meter goes, and it'll use that light to shine to make a digital image up to a screen. So I did that. It's called a HyperTap 2. And then I also got the bayonet mount switched to a PL mount. So now my camera can take like every cinema lens ever because it's PL mount, and I can put a digital screen on the camera. And I can actually, like, instead of having to like look through the little eyepiece for it. And so like you can also hook it up to like a Teradek, and you can send that signal like off to a director's monitor. And I also, this is the last thing, that Super 16 film gate, the magazines, which are the parts of the camera that holds the film, those on my camera were not converted to Super 16. And so on the edges, on the, like between the 4x3 and 16x9 ratio, there were scratches on the film. And so I had my magazines converted to Super 16. So all in all, a bunch of stuff that probably does not matter to most people cost me almost $6,000. And the camera itself cost me $7,000. So now I'm 13 grand into this thing. And it's perfect. It's my dream camera. I will never have to buy another 16 millimeter camera ever again.
And so timeless too. Like you'll be able to rent that thing, use it for the rest of your life, pass it down. Yep. Like that thing is unbelievable.
And the guy that, go for it.
I was just going to say, it is funny that you, in your Instagram story, you called it the Porsche 911 of cameras, because so much of everything you were just saying, you could totally jump into that conversation and just assume that you were talking about a car when you're like, it was the true. SR, it could have been the SR1 or the SR2, but the SR2 had bayonet mount and like fully could just be someone talking about car stuff.
100%.
Be interchangeable.
100%. Well, yeah, it's cool too, because the guy that did the servicing on it is like one of only a few people in the world that still does it. And so when he finished, he put a sticker on the base that said like serviced by Paul. I forget his last name. But the camera became more valuable just because that sticker's on it, because like this one technician worked on it. And then the last thing I did was, it's kind of hard to explain, but essentially when you look through the viewfinder, the motor is supposed to stop with the mirror so that you can see through the viewfinder. But mine was stopping in the wrong spot, and then you'd have to manually like inch it forward. That was a sign that my like motor was essentially going out. And so they sent my motor to France or Germany, and some guy in Germany rebuilt the motor. to like brand new. And so now it's like the camera is essentially it's in better condition than like when it came off the factory shelf in the 80s. Like,
damn,
it's perfect. It's perfect.
Yeah.
And yeah, the thing that's so sick about that is this camera has not lost value in 40 years. It's still every bit as in demand as it was then. And I think this is just my hypothesis. This is just a bet I'm making, but I think as AI and digital everything takes over more and more and more, I think the value of it's only going to go up. Like analog everything. I think analog everything is going to become a little bit more valuable. And so, yeah, I just, like I said, the rat race of like camera YouTube, it's just like, I don't have to think about it anymore. I have in one of my members' video, I described it as like in Kill Bill, she like has to get that one sword to kill Bill and she can't do it without any other sword or with any other sword. And so like half the movie is her trying to like acquire that tool. And this is my Kill Bill sword. Like I will never need another one,
Yeah.
Feels so good.
Yeah. That's
so I'm free.
Sick. Man. Is it usually on Reddit where you find like the people that do this, like that guy in Ohio and stuff like that? Is that through Reddit?
That's a good question.
Because I feel like you've always known good spots like that. Like you've found really good film labs. You found like the iron glass lenses.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. Yeah,
I think probably, honestly, as dumb as it is, I think most of that stuff I've found through Facebook groups. So there's like ARRI SR Facebook group. And I got Paul's like info through that. And then when my Bolex broke, it was the same thing. I'm in a 16 millimeter group and they sent me to Do-All, which is in New York. But yeah, it's crazy. It's so fun to be in such a hyper niche little, because they still make 16 millimeter cameras. But the old 16 millimeter cameras have this whole like community behind them. There's like all these dorks and all these nerds. And I love that if that camera breaks, there's like, 2 living people that can fix it.
Yeah.
And to get them to work on it is like an honor. It's like, there's like a tradition there, like, again, with the Kill Bill analogy, it's like having, I forget what the guy's name is that makes the sword, but like having a sword from this one sword maker,
Mr. Miyagi.
It's like there's Mr. Miyagi, there's like honor, and to have an SR that's been worked on by this Paul guy from Visual Products, it's like an honor,
Yeah.
So yeah, and the other thing that I'm like really excited about and proud of is like, and I'm about to shoot some shots here. But like, but unlike the content wheel of the camera review cycle, I fucking make stuff with it. You know what I mean? Like I'm not gonna sit here and just talk about the features. Like this thing is gonna get used a ton for a ton of like weird stuff,
Yeah, totally.
So,
man, if only you were in the group of camera YouTubers to throw that guy off his course. Just throw some real curveballs at him of what he should actually do.
It's like, should I get the Canon PowerShot? I'm like, no, you should get a Krasnogorsk 3 from Russia. There's a guy named Tyrus Photo that custom does PL mounts.
The guy's like, oh, is that good for reviewing anime episodes?
No. Which, by the way, little pro tip that's taken me a long time to figure out, but if anyone's trying to get into 16 millimeter and they don't know where to start, get a Krasnogorsk 3 from Tyrus Photo, get a Canon EF mount. He custom puts top handles on and does a full CLA on them. So they're like $800 and it's better than a Bolex. It's cheaper than a Bolex and you can use your own lenses. Just so you know.
That is some friends with Benedicts gold right there.
Yeah. And I wish I knew that when I got my Bolex because I would have done that instead.
Dang. Yeah, that's a good recommendation.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
Yep. All right. So
well,
I bet you're regretting asking.
No, not at all. I mean, if anything, have even more questions to prod you with that could probably, this could just be the provoke Shaffer hour, because I feel like if I ask you anything about this latest Fuji X half frame camera, I don't know if you've seen anything about it, but it's a good thing V1 of Evil Shaffer died, because V1 of Evil Shaffer would have gone crazy with the Fuji X half frame.
I honestly have not seen anything about it. I like, here's the thing, like, and this is a great rationale for this point, but like I had to check out of camera YouTube, because it does make me mad. Like, this whole purchase, this whole $13,000 purchase, one is because I want to have a timeless piece of artistic gear that will follow me throughout my life, and it's partially to force myself to tune out from all the bullshit going on over there, because it's infuriating. So I don't know anything about the half. Is it a digital half frame camera?
Yeah, and so
really,
thankfully, I have never been into camera specs, but I learned about this one while I was hanging out with crew of camera YouTubers, and it is a digital half frame camera where you take, so for anyone who doesn't know, a half frame film camera, it took stills, but you have your 35 millimeter square of film, and in order to save money, it only exposed half of it at a time. And so like on a 24 roll of film, you would get 48 photos out of it. So right off the bat, hearing that, you're like, okay, why should this be digital?
So
then?
dumb. Yeah,
because the whole point of it is to save film, and the downside was you get lower, quote, resolution, whatever that means in film, lower quality on film, because it's only half the frame. But anyway, so on this Fuji camera, you take a photo, and then there's a wind lever that you have to wind on the digital camera to then snap it again, and it pairs your two photos together in the box. And so every two photos you take are paired together.
What on earth?
And like, maybe the only argument maybe that you could make for it is that half frame film cameras did take portrait photos, vertical photos. And so on this camera, it's like if you're holding the camera in the normal orientation and you snap a photo, it's like,
and then you get to pull it into Photoshop and like cut
it in half.
Yeah.
I'm
moly.
I'm sure it separates the JPEGs individually, but on the camera it pairs them. But yeah, like maybe that's the only argument you can make, because it's very Instagram ready when you take it. But it's pretty funny.
This is the like, okay, my whole big bet, my whole thesis, the idea that like analog becomes more valuable and handcrafted things become more valuable. That's like like some like dork at a camera company being like, I agree, we should make a digital half frame. And it's like, no, you're completely missing the point. All of these camera companies too, like Fuji and Kodak and everything, they'll do everything but make cheaper film. they'll make a digital half frame camera, and they'll make the X100V with like as close to perfect emulation as possible, but they won't just bring the price of film down by $3, which would do wonders.
Yeah.
But I also know, didn't Fuji or someone also just recently make like an actual like new upgraded film camera? I think, right? Didn't they?
I don't know.
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. There's the new,
but that's hilarious. That's so funny.
Yeah, though. I know. The wind lever especially, I thought was pretty funny.
That's insane. That's just like,
yeah. So
It's
yeah.
it's the same as when there's like bachelorette parties and they have those pink foam cowboy hats. That makes you as much of a cowboy, shooting a half frame Fuji camera.
I was wondering where you were going with that analogy. Yeah, yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I do know what you're saying. Or it's kind of like the electric cars that play exhaust noises in the speakers.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Totally. Yeah, wow, that's interesting.
Which
it's a good thing I
apparently-
wasn't in that room, dude, because I would have been having a stroke for like
Yeah. Yeah, you would have. You
a
definitely
handful
would
of reasons.
Yeah.
But
Apparently-
I think I've talked with Blaine online before, though. Blaine Winthrop or something.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, he's awesome.
Oh, nice. Yeah, he was super cool. Yeah, he was great.
He's super nice.
They're all great.
Yeah, they're all great.
Yeah. Actually, man, I have too many off podcast stories. I'll just say Blaine and Blaine's buddy that I met.
Barry. Blaine and Blaine's buddy Barry.
Blaine and Blaine's buddy Barry. Shoot, I forget Barry's name. I'm sorry, Barry. But they were awesome. They reminded me so much of you and me, actually, and our dynamic on our former mountain biking show. But anyway, that's the end of that story. Blaine and Barry, good guys.
Rad.
Kind of along those same lines, you and I had what I thought was a really valuable conversation for me, and is kind of in line with all of this. And maybe we've had it before on the pod, but I just more and more just keep getting reminded how valuable making your stuff, like making your videos feel handmade is. Did we talk about this last week? Am I having deja vu or something?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. Yeah, but basically I think you and I had just had this conversation on our own when I was just about to edit a portrait piece I made on my friend who's an artist in Mexico City. And our conversation helped me so much because I got sick in Mexico City, so I wasn't able to like shoot as much as I wanted or as well as I wanted or anything. And you and I talked about just how valuable it is and will continue to be for videos to be clearly and apparently made by a person with its imperfections and everything. And that helped me so much editing this because I had so much just like garbage footage that normally I would pass over because I would choose my selects that were the most pristine shots, well-established, like beautiful shots. But this one, I was kind of scraping the barrel. So I had to use a lot of shaky stuff and like extend clips longer than I wanted. And I'm so excited about it now. And it works out so well because my friend who I'm documenting is an abstract artist and
Perfect.
it's very messy. Like like for lack of a better word, it's just like smeared, scribbled paintings. But that imperfection and humanity of her paintings makes it so beautiful and feel so good.
Yeah.
So the combination of those two things together made this so fun to edit because I was inspired by her paintings and trying to make my video in line with her paintings, and then had our conversation about humanity and having it feel handmade. And yeah, I'm stoked about it. It made it so much easier to edit. So
to be an abstract painter at some point along the process, you have to make a conscious decision to reject the realism thing. You know what I mean? Like there has to be a point when you're like at a crossroads and you go, okay, I have two options here. I can devote myself to realism or I can do this completely different style. And And it's kind of funny that it's like you found that same crossroads at that point in time on that project. You know, it's
Yeah.
like, well, I could just go with the really short version of this and make it super in line with what you've done before, or I can reject it and be like, okay, we're going with what we have and we're going to make it abstract. And it's pretty awesome that that's the intersection, that it's like on the video about an abstract painter that happens.
Yeah, totally.
That's super cool.
Yeah, it was really, really cool. And yeah, I'm stoked on it. I've had it done for a while now, but I won't post it for a while. And then I'm going to make a whole video about what I just said, because
Yeah.
I need a behind the scenes video. And that was like such a big lesson that I learned making that film. So,
dude, Jake blue ball Frew, where he goes, I got this thing I want to talk about, but I'm not gonna. I got this video that I've made and it's done, but I'm not gonna post it.
Yeah, seriously. No, except I just talked about what I'm posting, so that's true. If anything, it was I don't want to continue the analogies.
I would continue the analogy, but I'm not gonna.
No, it's true. And currently, like, I still have so many things that I am currently working on and are coming soon. But yeah, I feel like I've been in that phase for the longest time now of having stuff that I will do soon. And it also is really helpful sometimes to not talk about what you're gonna do. Yeah,
that's kind of I mean, on this podcast, it doesn't matter because no one listens, but it is it is kind of a rule of thumb, I feel like, because we've talked about that for sure, where people pop on and they go, what's next for this channel? And it's like, you're setting yourself up for failure there, like right off the bat.
Yeah, totally.
I feel like you can use that strategically, though. Like, that was kind of like when I did the American Stanza series. I was like, as soon as I had the idea, I was like, I'm going to fall out of love with that after the first one. I know it. But then there was something about coming on and saying, like, I am making this. That's like kind of the only reason I was able to finish, was because I said I was going to do it.
Yeah.
So,
there's for sure a balance there of like, when you tell people you want them to hold you to it, but then there's also just like, if you're really excited about it and believe in it, and then you tell one person who doesn't seem that excited about it, you're so much more likely to be like, maybe it was a dumb idea.
Like, totally.
I'm going to do something else. But
or like after, I think Stanza 2 in that series, I just wasn't that stoked on. And I still had 2 more. And, shooting it on film, it was going to cost another like $1,300 to make. And I just had to be like, okay, guess I'm going to do that, even though I really, really don't want to.
Man. Yeah, that's tough. But yeah, all that to say, with the Porsche of cameras and all that stuff, I'd say now more than ever, lean into your stuff not being perfect. I say that because I need to hear that for myself every day of my life.
Yeah, I think that sentiment extends both to your work and to your tools too. I mean, granted, it's like I'm the guy that just spent a life's fortune on one camera, but it's like I also spent a life's fortune
earning it.
That's true. Well, I also spent a life's fortune on a camera that is extraordinarily limited. It doesn't have high resolution. It pretty much, I mean, functionally, like, you can attach this big, long, stupid box that makes it shoot up to like 70 frames per second or something like that. But in general, day-to-day life, it is not high resolution. It does not have a ton of frame rates. It's super heavy. It's inconvenient. And those are all the things I like most about it.
Yeah. Totally.
Like, you can get so lost in the proverbial sauce. And really, like, if you just pick one thing and decide that's your samurai sword, you're going to go so much further.
Yeah. I mean, now more than ever. And I say you earned it because when I met you, I don't even remember what your camera was, but God, that thing was old and dumb.
Sony FS700. Yeah. That thing was That thing was ridiculous.
And then you worked half of our major job on a Panasonic GH5 and just like
a Panasonic GH5 with a loose rattly lens adapter.
Oh yeah, and a Tokina lens.
And a Tokina lens that had like seized focus. So you had to like really muscle it to change focus.
Yeah. So used that on our global multi-billion dollar brand we worked with. Used that for half of it. And then finally, once we made it big, we both got FX3s. But like, I mean, that's it, you know, like.
And I think both of us got FX3s reluctantly too. Both of us were like, okay, like for that specific, it's so funny because that camera is such an absolute Swiss Army knife that it's like, you pretty much would never be in a situation where you kind of needed it to do everything it does. But we were like the two guys that I feel like were in a situation where we needed a camera that didn't overheat, could shoot in like mega low light, had great autofocus. Like all those things were super important for us in that moment. And then now that we're not doing that job anymore, I'm like, this thing is so overkill. It's crazy.
Man, and I just feel like, why would I ever need anything different than this? Because it's just like, especially even before having that, but especially having that, it's just like, I couldn't even dream of what more I would need. Or basically I don't think about it when I'm shooting, which is great.
Yeah, that is great.
But
that is great. Because it just will inhibit you from making things if you get to, because like, and again, like, I don't mean for this to just kind of sound like shots fired or whatever, but the only real reason people like care as much as they do is because they're being sold something. You know, like when it comes, and there's definitely magic to like, you know, the look of Cook lenses, and there's definitely magic to the flare of anamorphic for sure. Is any of it necessary? Not at all. Like, no, it's not. And it's just because it's like, well, Fincher used it. And it's like, okay, well, Fincher also grew up in a time when nothing else even existed. He didn't even have options for cheap gear.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know either. But it's just, you're right. Like I don't think we realize just how truly susceptible we are to marketing. And man, like there's a reason YouTube now 2 or 3 years in a row is the #1 streaming platform in the US and in the world, because it just has that handmade feel everywhere. And I don't think that's going anywhere.
Want to hear a horrifying point I just heard from, I know I'm not supposed to Google things, but I got to shout out this channel. Do you mind?
No, I don't mind. That was season 1 rules.
Oh, cool. Oh,
season
wow.
Season 2 is a whole new set of rules.
These are, oh God. Okay. I just watched a video called You Are the Dead Internet by Luke Smith.
Oh,
and his point was essentially, you know, okay, YouTube, the format of YouTube, if you're doing it long enough, eventually cultivates a personality that fits on YouTube. So for example, you start videos by saying, hello, everybody, my name is blank and I do this. And then at the end you say, don't forget to like and subscribe. And that's obvious, but it's also your cadence, the way you speak knowing you're going to be able to edit it. He was essentially saying the internet has created a kind of person. And he was also saying the influx of AI is starting to also create a kind of person. He was talking about this one finance channel that he watches.
Gosh.
He was talking about this one finance channel that he watches. And then he was talking about another channel that was trained off of finance YouTube. So it's an AI channel trained off of finance YouTubers. And he's like, the scariest thing is you can't tell the difference. Not that the AI is so good that you can't tell the difference. It's the fact that like they're the same thing. It's like, even if the guy wasn't AI, his time on the internet has had such a huge effect on him that he basically is an AI. He has an input and he has an output, you know, like if he does this, input, he will get this output in return.
Yeah.
Which was horrifying.
God, I hate that.
I know. I know.
Because I know effects of that on myself, without a doubt. That's why I hate hearing that so much, because I recognize a lot of that in myself. That's terrifying. I hate it.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Yeah. And so like to be in this camera sphere as one example of, you could have this under any subcategory of interest. You could be a car guy, you could be whatever, but so much of your interest is artificial. Like it is something that you have consumed enough that you have identified it with this, you know what I'm saying? And so camera YouTube, you know, like you can talk all day about how much you like the intricate details of anamorphic or whatever. Is that you? Or is that just the archetype that you fulfill?
Yeah. Wow.
And I'm not immune from it, you know, like film in and of itself, shooting on film is, no one's immune from it. But
like that's how
I do think
community works. But
I do think you have to have that knowledge to know that like the way that you speak, the things that you speak about, you got to kind of consistently be auditing it to find out, is that just because I'm trying to identify with an input and an output, or is that because I actually believe it? And it's hard.
Yeah. And it's like, I mean, that's why subcultures form in the first place. You know, that's why like surfers hang out with surfers and they end up talking similarly. That's why like, you know, skaters have like a lingo of our own that it just like, of course, when you're hanging out with people who skate and you're using the language that you need to talk about skating, you like form that and you reinforce that interest about yourself. But yeah, when there's I don't know if it's just the unlimited supply nature of it, plus the like reinforced benefits of it that makes it extra scary. I don't know, but
yeah,
I don't know. That is,
but it's also like a little bit, I find comfort in the fact that, you know, in a previous episode we were talking about, I finally started watching it. The Curse and how they shot it at super high ISO. You know, we had a conversation about that. I find it kind of comforting to know the stuff that does stand out is the stuff that subverts the group mindset. And it's not that hard to know like what subverts the group mindset. It's not that hard to know that if you crank the ISO, it's like wrong. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not like you have to dig forever and ever and ever to find ways to like have your own voice.
Totally.
It's pretty easy, honestly. It's just, you have to have the knowledge that you're essentially the byproduct of a million different homogenous voices telling you to be one kind of person. And as long as you know that's the case, you can make decisions to counteract that. But you got to know first.
Man.
You know?
Yeah, totally. Well, and have you heard of like the TikTok accent or the internet accent? Have you heard that talked about?
I'm horrified by this immediately.
Yeah, it's literally like, forgive me, I'm certainly uneducated on this topic. I've just heard little inklings of it here and there, but I'm pretty sure linguists are studying, like they're studying accents, regional accents, and they're seeing like a accent forming on TikTok and on the internet at large that is not from any region of the world.
Way.
It just has developed on its own on TikTok. And like
that is sci-fi crazy.
For real. It's so crazy. And it stood out to me because I was thinking about it recently of how like we're for sure going to see a slow death of regional accents. Like, I mean, I'm in Brooklyn and like, obviously Brooklyn has become such a transient area that you don't hear the Brooklyn accent everywhere. And that's just one example, but like you get enough people who are transient and you get enough people where the majority of the language they hear is on the internet, that it makes sense that with enough time, it's just going to homogenize and we're going to lose like lose these regional accents because it's all going to turn into the TikTok accent.
Dude, that's horrifying. And it's especially horrifying that the most prevalent accent is the most boring one.
Yeah.
It's too bad we're not all being trained to be like, hello.
I know, seriously.
Like no flavor, just vanilla accent for everyone. Dang, that is crazy, which I guess is relative, but still, that's crazy.
Can you give me your best TikTok accent? Do you even have a guess of what it is?
I don't like watch a lot of TikTok, but my best guess would be I can't even do it. I put 100 donuts in the microwave.
That's pretty good. I picture the like, hello guys, today we're going to put 100 donuts in the microwave. It's just like these 2-note things.
Yeah. Whoa,
I can like picture it in my head, but I don't know how to say it. But it's that like.
Yeah. I know exactly what you're talking about. That was pretty good, actually.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
This is the first time I've ever tried it.
Dang, it's not the last time. That's going to be fast forward 50 years. We are in the recycling home.
Thank you for coming back to Friends with Benedicts. Today on the pod, we are talking about camera specs. Thank you for tuning in, guys.
I just got an electric knee.
Oh man.
Yeah. Actually, okay, quick TikTok chat just because
I've been waiting for TikTok chat. Thank God.
Yeah. Well, I was like, okay, quick, my weekly plug on www.ashcroftcp.com. But I'm trying to, kind of like build the Ashcroft CB thing so that when you go to the Instagram, it doesn't just have 200 followers and 0 engagement. It's like there's a little bit of value in having that like be more of a. And so I was like, okay, I'll just play the game in the long run of just trying to establish some credibility. It's not like I need the dopamine hit or anything. I'm just trying to establish credibility, right? So I'm making reels, right? And I post them on Instagram, and it is hilarious how just skewed the algorithm is toward reels. It's hilarious how you just make a reel that's like at least somewhat fast paced. That shit pops off. It's crazy, dude. Because the Ashcroft Instagram had 400 followers. I posted a reel that just got picked up by the algorithm, and this is just proof. Like, it does not matter how big your account is. It got like, I can't look it up because I'm FaceTiming you, but it got like tens of thousands of views, thousands of likes. And it's just because it follows the format that's working right now, Yeah. And so I posted them on TikTok too. One of them is at like 70,000 views or something like that. But my thesis for all of this is it is so funny how short form just does not fucking move any needle anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You uploaded it, you get 70,000 views and nothing changes. On YouTube, it's like you're cultivating an audience and a community. And with short form, I've gotten, and, by short form, in short form world, 70,000 still isn't that much. But it's just so funny how you get 70,000 views, you get 1,000 followers, and it just does not matter at all.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I mean, I was just talking about Friends about how you don't remember a single thing you saw when you're done with a scrolling session. You're just like, no. What did I just watch? I don't remember a single
not at all.
Thing. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's just kind of funny. It's like, what is the point of this?
Oh man, don't make me spiral. We're gonna spiral together.
I know.
If you ask what the point is.
Well, I know what the point is, because like I wouldn't do it unless I had some sort of objective in line. The objective is the establishment of credibility for the business. So there is a point, but it's like, it's just funny how it's just crazy to know how many people have this dream. And then, I think for a lot of people, getting that 70,000 view TikTok would be a little bit of an example of the fulfillment of the dream, or like, and then it happens, and it's just like nobody cares. Nobody cares more than just like bink, 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 swipe,
totally.
swipe.
Totally.
I don't know. It's just funny. But it does make me realize how much fulfillment kind of does come from YouTube. Because even though there's still the empty, hollow spirals, at least when a video does well, it's like, okay, I'm cultivating a community here and it feels good.
Yeah. And chances are good a lot of those people watched it from the couch in their living room instead of in line at the bank, you know?
Where God intended.
Yeah. No, but just in a more like paying attention scenario.
Yeah.
Potentially. That's certainly not guaranteed, but there's a more of a chance that they were focused on it than it was just a passive distraction.
There's a 0% chance everyone gathered around the living room TV and streamed TikTok swipe sesh.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's ever happened.
Yeah. I would not be surprised if that is happening in many places. I don't know why.
It's basically just, if you did that, it would basically just be like watching America's Funniest Home Videos pretty much.
Oh, yeah. Actually, yeah.
They were kind of onto something there.
Yeah. I was just recalling, I feel like when we were parked in a parking lot with a bunch of people with bikes, we watched TikToks on TV.
Oh, yeah, we did.
Or maybe that was America's Funniest Home Videos. I can't remember.
It was, I think it was like
fail compilations and stuff.
Yeah.
So that's basically the same thing.
Basically the same thing, yeah.
Yeah.
You have as much autonomy as what you watch there as you do.
But all of that to say, as far as whatever, fulfillment, making stuff, whatever, let me just give the biggest double-handed digital high five to cut off all your hair and buy an old car, because man, did that fire me up so much. God, that video is so good.
Oh my God, dude.
It's just, it feels so good to watch something that's just like, I got an idea, I'm gonna make it. And yeah,
it is so funny that my Roadside Attraction episode 1 took me half the year to come up with.
Yeah.
And then I was just like, well, it's, I also gotta give credit where credit's due. My pick of the week 2 weeks ago now, I think, was Gox's train video. It was under a minute. And I was like, shoot, if Gox can upload an under a minute video, granted it wasn't to his main channel, but I was like, what's the harm? Might as well. And then, I had that idea because also background lore. I went in to get a haircut, did not intend to cut off all my hair, just got like a terrible haircut. And I was like, shoot, this is not good. You can just cut it all off. And the poor lady was like, are you sure? I think I told that on the podcast too. But so I ended up cutting off all my hair kind of on accident. And I was like, I just got to lean into this because I hate this.
Yeah.
And then it took me 2 days to film.
Yeah.
And it's my best performing video I've ever posted.
Oh, really? So far. Yeah.
Yeah, ever. Yeah. On any platform, pretty much.
Well, no, I mean so far, because you have a video at like 1 million or something.
Oh, but I mean, like the first 3 days, I've never had a video do this well in 3 days ever.
Nice. Yeah. Yeah. Well, First of all, it's crazy because before you had made this, before your hair got buzzed or anything, I wrote down one of my goals was to have you buzz my head this summer when I'm in Colorado. So then I saw that happen. I was like, it was meant to be.
Dude, yeah. We gotta make a sequel to that video. Oh. What about cut your friend's hair off?
And give him your old car.
And crash a car. And give him your old car. Oh, now you want it.
Yeah. I mean, we've both discussed and had the weird experience of just like effort not equating to result at all. But it is also just like, I texted you after the first Roadside Attractions video was done. And it was just like, for me, it's like that video mattered so much and is so impactful in that way. And then this other video is impactful in like a soul way that it's not like, it's like one matters for your brain and one matters for your heart.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
No, that's true. And it's also really funny because this was the biggest lesson I learned from this last week was like, I think the point of all of this art stuff at the beginning was always to like express emotions you're feeling. You know what I mean? Like that's, and I had this interaction with someone who basically was like, you know, buying that car was a mistake. You're irresponsible. And I was like, you just don't get it. Like you just don't see the vision. And I had so much emotion, like leaving that conversation to just be like, no, this is cool. You just don't have the taste for it. And then I was like, fuck it. I'm just going to make something that says what I'm trying to say here. Because this interaction with this person also had, you know, themes of like, well, you have to get the reliable car and you have to like get as many hours in your job as possible because who knows what happens when you get older. And I was just like, that is such a narrow view of what's in a life. You know, it's just so vanilla. And so I was like, okay, I'm going to make something that says what I'm feeling. And it turned out to just be, I feel like it felt like a sincere video because it was basically my retort to this conversation I had.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, no, the car is cool. The fact that it can break down makes things interesting. You know, like, yes, it, you know, if I had a better job, I wouldn't even think about buying a car that old. But everyone in the world that has a nice job has a nice car. And I just don't want to be everyone in the world. You know, call me a loser and call me like whatever, like romanticizing being like a special snowflake or whatever. But that's who I am. That's who I am, you know?
Totally.
Take it or leave it. And so, yeah, it was an important video for me to make, like, because I needed at least some validation on my perspective. And it's so funny how then, you know, tens of thousands of people come by my side and go, the 323 is fucking cool.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, hell yeah.
And it's very well timed. It's clearly resonating. It resonated with my soul in a way words can't really describe. And I think that is because of what you just laid out, that it was built. Yeah. It was built off of a real human experience you had and emotions you were feeling. And yeah, it's resonating, which is sick, which is really sick.
It is sick. I've seen another like kind of discussion going on, which is there's a real fear of sincerity on the internet, because if you make something ironic, you can kind of hide behind the irony. But if you make something sincere, you're putting yourself, you know, like, I don't know if you've seen that poor guy that's getting absolutely flame roasted for that one guitar performance.
Guy, yeah.
Yeah. And like, that's everyone's biggest, like, that is such a bad thing to happen on the internet, because it makes people even more afraid of being sincere.
Yeah.
And so everything just becomes irony. Everything becomes irony.
Yeah. And yeah, you're afraid as the poster of the work to be sincere. And there also is just such a meta. There's such a like, a meta of like ironic comments. That's like the thing. And especially on TikTok, where I think that video originated, but both Reels and TikTok, there's just this meta that like your comment should be ironic, or I don't know. Do you know what I'm talking about? That,
I totally know what you're talking about.
Comment culture is a thing. I don't know how to put it into words, but there's a culture of how you comment and how it comes across that, it basically is like, don't get too sincere with it.
Yeah, don't love anything. Just joke about everything, you know?
Yeah.
But it's funny because that guy, you know, like, it seems like he's doing a really good job, like, leaning into it, which is the best thing you can do. But, like, even though, you know, I've got my own opinions about that performance or whatever, but the dude's my hero, because it's like, he totally put himself out there. He completely put himself out there. Like, take it or leave it, and a lot of people are leaving it. Like, he did it. And usually I feel like I am so quick to take that kind of thing and jump in the mob bus and be like, this is cringe, whatever. But I like respect that dude so much, because he's not going to stop. Like,
yeah.
He's still promoting the song. He's like, He's just doing it.
And I wish so many more people, instead of, well, basically, I just wish more people had the initial thought of this isn't for me rather than this is bad. And I'm not even referring to that video in particular, but in general, like, I can't even think of a specific example, but there's just like, you know, maybe a guy will see a musical and just be like, that shit's terrible. It's so stupid, blah, blah, blah. Or you could see it and be like, that's definitely not for me. You know, there's such a big difference. Just because it's not for you doesn't mean it's horrible. It just means it's not for you.
There's also some, at least some value in exposing yourself to stuff that's not for you and like going through the exercise of trying to find value in it, you know?
Dude. Yeah. That is, yeah.
You and I both know people that can and can't do that. And I think we always opt to hang out with the people that can.
Yeah, totally.
That can find redeeming qualities in things that aren't for them.
Mm-hmm.
And this gets deep because that goes for people too. Because I also know people where it's like when there's a kind of person who's like different than them, they cannot find a redeeming quality. They just go, this bad, I good.
Yeah.
And I can't like stand to be around it because,
dude.
Yeah, I don't know. That goes deep, but
yeah, I know. Man, this opens like so many interesting conversations, and I'm making Jake Blueball Frew is back at it. I'm making a video currently about algorithms, and I have learned so much about the Spotify algorithm and how so much of their playlists, you know, like whatever, Discover Weekly, Rap Caviar, all of these Spotify playlists are built with retention statistics. So they're built largely like a YouTube algorithm and other things where like the biggest factor for getting on a playlist is just getting listened through. And so that fully has removed harder to listen to, quote unquote, songs. And so obviously the result is going to be more pop music in all genres because you're losing those songs that maybe you don't want to listen to over and over because they're a hard listen, but that doesn't mean they're bad songs or like not impactful or beautiful songs. It just means it's probably not one that you want to listen to over and over to boost its retention statistics.
Right.
Yeah.
Dude, that's crazy. Oh my God. We live in such a nightmare.
Dude, I know. Seriously. Yeah.
But there are things, I mean, that's like kind of the thesis though. It's like there are things you can do. It's like try to implement a little bit more handmade imperfection into the things you work on. Care about what you're consuming and be conscious of how you found it. You know, it's like there is still autonomy. You still do have choices. It's just harder because when choices are constantly being made for you, there's initiative that you have to take. But I do see more and more and more and more people just being like, whoa, this is not cool.
Yeah.
Like, this landscape is barren.
Totally. Yeah. It feels like, and I feel like I've been saying this for a while, but it feels like we're on the precipice of a major pendulum shift, a major punk movement, whatever you want to call it.
It does. Yeah.
It feels like we're on the precipice, and unrelated to that, but I just thought of this since you plugged Ashcroft CB. I got to plug my now Patreon that by the time this podcast is up, it better be ready. my Patreon is centered around this exact idea of sharing artwork with each other, because like so many of my favorite things are just, they're my favorite because they were shared to me by a person. I had heard Gene Dawson a couple times on playlists. I'm sure I've told this story. I'd heard him a couple times on playlists. I thought he was cool. It wasn't until you showed me his music videos and we sat down and listened to him that it like solidified for me how much I liked it. And some of my favorite films are because I watched it at a time in life with a person. And it's just like, all that to say, I'm building my Patreon around being like a community for sharing art and recommending things to kind of avoid the algorithm and have it just be like a human algorithm. So
that is so cool.
Yeah,
that's
so
awesome. Your boy just lost $5 a month.
Wow. Well, that's okay. We're basically just trading each other $5.
I know that's true. That's true. That is true.
And giving our cuts to Father YouTube and Mother Patreon.
I know that is true. It is kind of funny that like all this is like predicated on, like my video, which is like the whole like cut off your hair, buy an old car. The sentiment is like, get out and do something that feels kind of risque. Mm-hmm. And anyone hearing that message is going to hear it thanks to an algorithm.
Oh, I know. Totally. And I thankfully mentioned that briefly in the video because I was like, I know if I don't say something, I'm going to get 1,000 comments that say the algorithm brought me here.
Yeah. I know. That's also kind of why I really like the format of the new podcast. It's like, even though it's just simple things, it's like, I like that it's just basically raw dogging podcasting.
Yeah. I like that the only people listening to this are because they clicked on the picture of a trash can or whatever the thumbnail happens to be on this episode. Yeah,
I know, it's pretty awesome.
We said season 1 had way too many listeners. We got to cut that back.
Well, at the time of recording this, we've only posted 1 episode of season 2, and it hasn't even cracked 100 views yet.
So far, we are hitting our goal. Which is
awesome. It literally makes it more fun for me. I swear. In a weird backwards kind of way, it's like, this is ours.
Yeah, it's like having a secret club, but then the secret got out, and it's like, oh, the club's not fun.
We got to make it more secret.
Yeah.
We need to shroud it in far more secrecy.
Yeah, it's like when you throw raves, but then the raves get so popular that they start having the rave at the Pepsi Center. And you're like, well, this isn't really a rave anymore.
Yeah, and so then you go and you at the Pepsi Center bathroom, you go and throw a mini rave.
Yeah.
Oh, or it's like Peter McKinnon making a smaller office inside his giant office.
That's exactly what this is. It's all thanks to the tiny office.
We pay homage to our tiny office heritage.
Oh man. Well, you got any apologies?
Sorry I roasted camera YouTube. I do think some of you sheeple need to wake up, but
Oh my gosh.
That's it. Dude, that's the other thing, like last thing I'll say on this. It's so cool to me that when you look up Ariflex SR, the only videos that really come up, there's like the one I made about it a while back. There's my friend Nasoki made a video because he has one too. And then other than us, it's just a bunch of 60-year-olds who are like, it's a coaxial magazine. And they're like filmed on webcams. That's like where all the information on this camera on YouTube lives. It's just in old guys making like random informational videos because they were part-time teaching a film class in 2005. Like that's where I have so much pride in that.
Damn, that's awesome. Yeah, that's super cool.
So that was some kind of an apology, I guess.
That was I'm sorry you feel that way apology.
I'm not, what is it?
Exactly. You know what I'm talking about? Where you're really hurt by something someone did and they apologize by saying, I'm sorry you feel that way. They're not actually totally apologizing for their actions. They're just saying like, well, I'm sorry you feel that.
There's a super famous example of that I can't remember right off the top of my head, but it also has the same energy as, I'm not sad you broke your arm, Brandon, or whatever that video is.
I don't know if I know that video.
Oh, dang. You would love it. These kids are in an argument. It's like these kids are in an argument. It's getting like maximum heated. And then there's a pause of silence. And then one of them just goes, I'm not sad you broke your arm.
Oh, beautiful.
Anyway, do you have any apologies?
I am sorry. I'm sorry to... Oh, yeah. I'm sorry that I just realized a little bit ago that I've been doing slappy grinds with my fingerboard on my mic cable this whole time. And I just realized it may have been vibrating into my mic.
Dude, when I was editing the last episode, there was a ton of like weird noise coming from your end. That must
Really?
be what it is.
Oh,
Yeah.
no. Oh, no. Well, yeah, sorry. I've been fingerboarding.
Okay.
I've been shredding over here. I apologize.
I'm pretty sure that's in the user manual for the cables. It says "Do not skateboard on these cables." It will
Yeah, it
fray
makes a perfect slappy curb, though.
Dang. Well, I'm sure we'll hear all about it.
Well, sorry about that, and sorry to all the male nurses out there.
Yeah, true. And
Amen.
sorry to all the non-existent female doctors. Amen.
I say if you don't like this music, you don't be listening to it. You know I'm just a dude that you know, or something similar. If you don't keep it real, then you go somewhere but here, cause you know we're only losing control just for a minute. Oh.